What's up? It's your boy back at it again with another video in the series we call Underrated Throwers. So, just to start off, the man, the myth, the legend, Ehsan Hadadi is the subject of our video. He's one of my favorite throwers. This is a 65-meter throw he did at the Trying Invite in San Diego, California. And this is him very out of his prime, very injury-ridden. One of the only reasons I chose this video is because I was actually at this comp and I watched it live. And I'm pretty sure this was the winning throw, so don't quote me on this. And I also saw him the next year throw 66 meters. And then I think the next comp he did in California was at Chula Vista, the training center, and he threw 68. I wish I saw him do that. But I think this was one of the last years he competed professionally. And he's a very special thrower to me because he's one of the throwers I grew up watching, along with Gerd Kanter, Virgilius Alekna, and Robert Harding, and Peter Malachowski. Ehsan Hadadi, out of all of them, might have my favorite technique in terms of aesthetically. His PR is close to 70 meters. It's mid to high 69 meters. I'll put all his accomplishments and bio and PRs and height and weight, if I can find them, in the video description below. He almost won the 2012 Olympics. He got bronze in the 2011 Worlds in Daegu. Yeah, on his last throw, he had like a 70-meter foot foul. Well, rumored to be a 70-meter foot foul. It was definitely the winning throw, and he contested it, and it was barely a foot foul at the front. So that was tough. He ended up throwing 68 meters, so what are you going to do, I guess? But he is probably in his prime before all his injuries, he was probably one of the most consistent throwers of all time. Always basically like a 2 meters within his PB. And I don't know. Let's just watch this video a couple of times. I chose him because I feel like when people talk about the best techniques and stuff, and I'm not saying he does have the best technique, especially not in this video, because he's severely out of his prime, and he kind of changed his technique a little bit. It's because he had a lot of shoulder problems and a lot of knee problems, so he couldn't be as dynamic, but I still love this throw. So let's watch it. As you can see, very fast. He's older here too. He's probably mid-30s. Just so quick, so patient at the finish, so dynamic. And he was better in his prime. He was so much faster in his prime. And this video doesn't even do justice to how fast he actually was in the ring. Like, a lot of people don't understand that, in my opinion at least, that when you watch throwers and stuff on video, they're like, oh yeah, like that's kind of fast. When you watch them in person, that's something completely different. Go to any of these high-level meets and you'll see, just watch, and it's crazy. I remember watching some like 78-meter hammer throwers, and I literally just blinked and they were done. Like, it was crazy. Especially the woman hammer throwers are so fast, because they could just bully that thing. But that's a subject for another time. So let's actually get into the nitty gritty of why I love Ehsan Hadadi. All right. So let's go from the back. I will say he did change his wind a lot. He used to wind, like, his disc would be like here before his shoulder problems, and it would be a lot more dynamic. Ooh. He'd be a lot more dynamic. So like he would let it go back a little further, and you would have a lot more stretch at the front. Now obviously because of his shoulder problems, it's hard to see, But this pink is basically is KT tape. And I think on this knee, the year after this, or the other time I saw him and basically all his throws in this year, he had KT tape on his knee. So, and I'm pretty sure it was both knees, but if I had to pick, I think it was this one. Ooh, oh, you can zoom in? Wow. Huh. I know something new every day. Anyway. Really nice, dynamic, left armpit over left armpit. Great stack. I'm sorry. Left armpit over left knee over left heel. Great stack. Great dynamics, great separation. Like, his discus is as far back as he can with his injuries. The same thing kind of happened to Robert Harding after he came back, like I think his last 2 years. He had to change a lot of his technique because of his shoulder issues. And that's the price you have to pay when you catch a discus so far back sometimes. Over time, catch it wrong, or I don't know how he injured it, but so I don't really speak on it, but that's what I'm guessing. What I also love is how long he actually stays grounded. So let's see. His pickup point is just about there. And as you can see, his left foot is facing this way already. So that's a great pickup. And one of the biggest things that I learned from Ehsan Hadadi just for watching him is you notice, so when his left is going down, his right knee goes out. So you see that motion. What that does is when you have your right knee out, it creates a super wide sweep and gives you a lot more balance on your sprint leg. So look at this wide sweep. Really, really nice. Really stable left hip. He just turns around it. Alright. Now, you tend to see this with a lot of speed-oriented throwers that aren't that tall. And from what I remember, I don't think he's that tall for elite. I think he's probably like 6'2", 6'3". He was not very tall for an elite discus thrower. Most of them are like 6'5" plus, especially for someone who threw as far as he did. But when you see a lot of shorter speed-oriented throwers, they tend to not have the widest of sweeps. This, I would say, is probably the bare minimum, where he still has balance. He's not like cutting across. Like, it's still a sweep. But yeah, and he just does this really just so he can get a really nice hip pre-turn into the middle, which I think he does arguably the best. Him or Lars Riedel probably does a pre-turn the best into the middle. But yeah, really nice sweep, really low too. That's one of the big things I learned from Ehsan Hadadi too, just from watching him, is how he just uses everything. He's just so efficient. There's no up. It's just everything is just all his lower extremities are just low, and you just boom, boom, and boom. All right, that's all you need. A lot of people try and overcomplicate the throw. All you need to do, really, is just a stacked left hip if you're a right-handed thrower. Just turn around it, sprint, a low sweep, get right foot down, left foot down, and just turn. If you want to think about it, it's big circle to little circle. All right? That's it. That's really it. Like, throwing's not that complicated, especially discus and shot put. It's honestly not. And that's why I think Ehsan Hadadi is such a good technical model too, because his technique is just so repeatable. He doesn't do anything extraordinary. It's just Just super, just nice, just solid technique that basically almost anybody can do, honestly. But I think this technique especially works for people who are super limber and super speed oriented and aren't the strongest. Now, granted, Ehsan Hadadi, I've seen him do some box squats, not in person, videos of it. There's very few videos of him lifting, but there's a famous video of him doing box squats with just insane weights. Like, I think close to 400 kilos. I could be wrong. Like, just like it's nothing. So, he's definitely strong. Alright? So, back to the technique, though. I really like how he stops this left foot. He stops it. And then sprints. Now, he did used to get a better sprint. I will say that. I think it's because of his knee issues. He used to sprint a lot better. So here, he kind of just, his heel kind of gives in a little. And he kind of shoots a little back. And it kind of just picks up. It doesn't really push that well. But, you know, if you wanted to look at him in his prime, there's a bunch of videos. One of my personal favorite ones is him throwing 68 in Halle, Germany. The same meet that Lawrence Okoye threw the British record, 68 meters, and Robert Harding threw his PR, which was 70 meters something. I think it was like 12 or whatever. Whatever it was. And Peter Malachowski also threw over 68. It's honestly one of my favorite meets to watch. I watch that religiously. It's such a good high-level meet. Alright, but yeah. And you'll see a little bit of differences in his technique from this video to then. Granted, that video is from 2012, which I think he was in his peak then. So, but yeah, really nice pre-turn. And for people who are more speed-oriented, I highly advocate a pre-turn. Because generally, if you're speed-oriented, you're generally pretty mobile, usually. Like, more mobile than most throwers. Which he is. Like, when his left foot grounds, let's see, where does it ground? He actually has weight on it right there, around. And is basically facing the back of the ring. So, the reason why speed-oriented throwers love the pre-turn, and I personally love the pre-turn as well, is because when you pre-turn, you're literally just there, and then your left foot turns. And because in your super speed oriented, if you put his left foot down right there, now he has to have all this time to turn on the ground. And it takes longer for his left to get down. But when you pre-turn, your hips are already into the throw. Like his right hip is already right there. His left foot is already past his right knee, and he's just ready. And let's see, how many frames? 1, 2, 3. It only takes 3 frames from his right to ground in the middle to his left to ground. And look how deep he catches that disc. And he's just perfectly just squared to the back. And then what I really love is how he used to do this better. He used to turn his right foot a little better and stay grounded more. But I think he probably has one of the best finishes in terms of upper body that I've seen. And blocks. His block is insane. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. I just got kind of mesmerized by that block. Yeah, I will say there's one critique I could ever make about Ehsan Hadadi is that his right foot could stay grounded longer and he could actually turn it. He turns his right hip and his right knee, and then his right foot is kind of just there. But I mean, let me just say this. When you're athletic enough and just so technically sound and you've been doing this for years, there's certain and strong enough, there's certain things you can get away with. Now, for people who aren't like Olympic level athletes, I would highly recommend turning your right foot, even people who are Olympic athletes. But I also can't knock someone who's throwing 69 meters that's throwing this way. So, who am I to say that he did it wrong? If it worked for him, it worked for him. Now, I will say, it's not like he doesn't turn his right side at all. He kind of... He really does, like, really turn it, just not on the ground. He really just does, like, a short little hip hop. Kind of like the equivalent forces for, like, a split jerk. And then his block is insane. So he's square right here. The disc is basically out of his hand. I'm going to move one frame. One frame? That's one frame. And he stayed grounded. So his left foot is grounded and he stays square through the entire finish. Even that, like that's he's still blocking through the entire way. And he just stays on that disc so well, and it's just I love his throw and I love his technique. If I had to pick one discus thrower that I probably would watch just all day, it'd probably be Ehsan Hadadi. I just love watching his throw so much. There's just something about just a super, just consistent, repeatable, just basic technique that's just executed so well. That just does something to me, man. Well, anyway, that's Ehsan Hadadi. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me play it one more time. And boom. Just so grounded, stays so low. Honestly, kind of like Malachowski a little. They both kind of throw the same in terms of just staying low. And not like excessive high points. I do like watching Ehsan Hadadi better than Malachowski. But yeah, just, and honestly, their finishes their blocks are pretty similar. But not the right side. But yeah, I mean, what more can I say? He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites, and I think he's severely underrated. You know, in an era dominated by Robert Harding, he actually gave Harding some problems. He could have been one of the only throwers to ever beat Robert Harding in a major competition. I think I think Harding during his prime, I should say, before his injuries. So from like 2009 to 2014, I think Peter Malachowski's the only one to beat him in a major competition. And Hadadi almost did it in the Olympics. He was leading through every round, and then Robert Harding came in clutch on the 5th round, as he does, and just threw a little bit further than him. So that sucks. I feel for you, Robert, and Ehsan Hadadi, but you're still goated in my eyes. So see y'all later, and let me know if you have any questions. Peace.